Well, welcome back to another SNG short, and it is going to be short today. I always say that, but it really is. What I have to do, since I've been gone for the last 4 days visiting grandchildren in Oceanside and couldn't be here, I didn't get back till yesterday. I got far too late to work on anything, so I'm trying to pull up the rear here. And what I'm going to do first is use this Dremel tool with this soft buffer on it, on this latex, and what I'm going to do is get rid of that seam right there. We very lightly just kind of go like that. Towards camera, Steve. Isn't this exciting? What I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to take some lacquer thinner and fine sandpaper, which really gets rid of the seam further. It just kind of sands it away and buffs up the rubber so that the rubber is all got the same kind of shine to it. Now we're going to go right here on top of the head. I'm hoping this isn't getting on my expensive lens. You get the idea. So I'm going to do this all the way around, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the finished product. Okay, so this is looking pretty bubble-free. What I do. Oh, and one thing too, when you're doing this, and you're, I see some more bubbles. Gotta get them. You can use a lower setting too, that works. But when you're doing up here, what you don't want to do is go this way, because it will catch the edge sometimes if you're going this direction and pull this in, and you don't want to do that. If you're going this direction, the actual tool is going counterclockwise, so it wants to go this way, not that way, and wind into this and suck it up. So if you're doing latex and working with latex and making your own mask and all that kind of stuff, it's very important, because I've wrapped one of these right up around the Dremel tool and it wasn't nice. This came out very clean, very nice, and now what I'm going to do is take a bit of sandpaper, about an 80 grit, and some lacquer thinner, and just kind of polish the whole thing up, and this is ready to paint. Okay, I've opened the back door for a little bit more ventilation, so there's a bit of a glare behind me. And I'm going to take the sandpaper, and first thing I'm going to do is just kind of wet it up. It kind of makes the rubber swell and get soft, and then you go like this. You notice I'm wearing gloves. You don't want to absorb lacquer thinner into your bloodstream. Bad idea. In fact, you probably shouldn't use it at all, but you can use Goo-Gone, not Egon, Glue-Gone, which also works, but it doesn't quite do the same job. And I've been using this technique since the days when I worked at Dawn Post to smooth out the seams on masters before we made our one-piece molds, and for production, so we didn't have to do this every time. Now, I don't have a production mold on this. This is from the original sculpture mold, which is getting to an age now where I'm going to have to make one of these up soon and make a new mold. But all I do is cast another one, real thick rubber, stuff it with newspaper, stick it on a stand, and put plaster over the whole thing after I've done all this. And then I won't have to do this anymore, and plus I can put the original mold away for better days. I always try to keep the original. I kind of go over the whole thing because I can't remember where I did buffing and not. And when you do the buffing out of bubbles and stuff, it roughs up the rubber a little bit. So when you paint it, it makes it a flat spot. It makes the rubber, well, the paint anyway, look flat in those areas. So if you do this, It also not only does it clean the mask, or the rubber in this case, so it's a mask. Technically it's a mask. Buff the eyes a bit because those will get painted black, and then they will have a clear glaze put on them of lacquer thinner, sorry, 5-minute epoxy. Another trick I will show you. That's how you get them to look like they're made out of plastic, or they look wet and glossy, or any other part of a mask that you want to make look wet and glossy, like the mouth, nostrils, teeth. 5-minute epoxy is your best friend for that. And there we are. This is very clean now and very ready to paint. Really beautiful. Came out very well. So now we have this guy that I need to get ready to paint, and basically I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be getting rid of the flash from it being a 2-piece mold. Just like that. And then I'm going to show you another trick, because what do you do about those big bubbles, Steve? Because there are some big bubbles in this in places. And how do you repair, since the mold is old, damage to the mold, in the casting? Well, you use something called Cabo Patch, which is basically Cabocil, which is powdered glass, and you mix it with Prosaid, which is a prosthetic adhesive, and it thickens it up. It makes it kind of like a Bondo. They also call it Bondo. And it will fill in stuff, and you can sculpt it. It's water soluble, so you can literally sit there and spit on it, or use water and a sculpting tool and sculpt back stuff that's missing. And when it dries and you paint it, it looks perfect. Now I need a new felt. This one's getting bad, but when we come back, we'll take a look at this one all finished. I thought I'd show you a little close-up on this one, how I do some of this stuff. It goes sideways like that. It gets rid of the, where the seam goes in the dentation. I just kind of go at an angle like this, and it gets rid of it. You notice there's a bubble there that's in the mold. I use my finger to rest against this so I don't go in too deep, and then I can have better control and go very softly. Bubble gone. There's a bunch of mass that's missing there, and that is something that I'm going to have to fix with Cabo Patch. But in the meantime, I got all that garbage off that eye, which has to be very smooth. You need to have a very light touch. And you can make it look really nice again. In fact, I didn't have to do any rebuilding to that at all. That looks so good. It really came out very well. So that problem is completely solved. Okay, so this mask is really clean now. 90% of the bubbles are all gone, and the problems that it had. So there's still a few here and there, but these are really difficult to get every single bubble from. And I will lament over them till the cows come home. Okay, so basically Cabo Patch is Cabocil, which is basically powdered glass. Do not breathe it when you're mixing it. And you get it at a plastic store or a place that supplies epoxy and polyester resins. It's used as a thickener. And you get Prosaid, which is the sticky, gooey prosthetic adhesive we use to put prosthetics on people. And you mix it with this, and you get that from a makeup supply, Berman's, Friends, Beauty Supply, any of those places. And you get this nice Bondo. See, like that. So when you have a bubble, like I do here, you can see this bubble right here, and it's a definite, ooh, it's a definite biggie. We don't like that. And I'm just going to kind of widen it out like that. And I'm going to take this cabo patch, I'm going to go right in there like that, and use my finger, a little spit on it, rub that in like so, and pretty much the bubble's gone. That will dry, you can paint right over it, and boy does the paint stick to this stuff. So I see another one right here I'd like to get, so I'm just going to kind of trowel it in there like so. Take my finger, a little bit of goo on it, bubble gone. Now it does shrink down a bit, so it will go back down into the hole. So I always put more than I need on there, keeping in mind that it's going to shrink. So this guy is pretty well ready to go for painting tomorrow, except I want to let this dry and I want to get a few spots. This one over here is perfect. I don't really need to do anything to it except just paint it and trim this edge a little bit more. And then with the Spock ears, I got a couple little bubbles to get rid of, but basically they're in perfect condition, and I can paint those tomorrow as well, weather permitting. So that's all the work that I have to go through to make one of these masks ready to paint. When the molds are in better condition, you still have to do it. There's still bubbles. There's still things that are in the mold you didn't see and you got to fix. So, and even with production molds, after about 20 or 30, they start getting the fuzzies. So, but this is how you can make it all work. And I did actually use some Goo Gone. Goo Gone you can get at the grocery store, at Lowell's. It's a orange oil-based product that basically softens stuff up and gets rid of gooey stuff. And rubber's gooey stuff, so it's pretty effective at cleaning the mask, which is why it looks so clean right now. Cool stuff. Okay, another thing I thought that would be fun to show you would be, I'm blocking my mouth, I poured up these parts today, which are for one of my X-15 rocket kits that was ordered. And I always like to show my customers what I go through to make this stuff. Now that's Rosie barking because she has a thing about compressed air. She wants to get it. What I do is I put this hose down here, and you can see the part wants to eject right out of there. So now I go very slowly like this because there's a canopy in here, and the canopy kind of keeps it from popping out because it's locked into the silicone mold. And so once I get past that, and this is 2-part resin, and I slosh pour it, and you can see it coming out of the mold, and there is an X-15 canopy and nose cone, which is very hollow inside and even and fairly light. It needs to be a little nose heavy anyway. Like all my molds, this one is getting in rough condition, so what I'm going to do is do a little filling on this, get rid of some of the bubbles that are sticking out. And I can see there's a lot of stuff going on here that I don't like. This mold is on the way, and I haven't been able to find the master, so I have to take one that I cast up a while ago and make a mold off of that. But I can repair this for his kit and primer it, so that's what I'm going to do. And this mold here, you can see, is breaking down. This is the tail cone, so I need to make a new silicone mold on this because it's on the way out too. There you go, pops right out. But the part is beautifully clean, you can see, and this fits in the tail cone of the X-15. Now originally this kit, which I've sold quite a few of because it's a very good flyer and it's a rocket, and the engine goes in there. These are resin parts which I upgraded, and it now has resin parts for the tips. You don't have to make them out of wood anymore. And here's those parts there, which are the vortex tips on the wings. And this was you formed out of cardboard, but now you use this, and that fits right in there like that. It makes a very, very nice tail cone. All you do is grind that out, which is not hard because it's very, as you can see, very thin right there, and it comes out right to that line. So that's how we make parts for the rocket kits that I make. And yeah, I need to make some new molds. Thank you everyone for, you know, buying so many kits that you're wearing my molds out. And as if I didn't do enough today, while I was waiting for parts and things to set up, I worked a bit on this, and this is the frame, of course, for the T51 Cooper I'm building from scratch. This is going to be a kit available very soon. And so I've got the motor in, of course. We talked about that last time. And right now, these tires are just temporary and wheels because the actual tires and wheels are coming from New Zealand, and they're beautiful, and they're exactly what the car had from John Warren. Yeah, so this is working really well, very well. I've got the pinion and the crown gear to fit in this cramped little space, and it actually runs. I can show you. I couldn't wait to see that part. So here we are back on the Revell slot car track that I've been restoring. That's about 54, 55 years old, maybe even older. It's from 1964. You do the math. And it's been working great, but I use it as a test track at the studio, and it works. It needs some oil and it needs some grease, but it's turning pretty smooth, all things considered. And I probably shouldn't run it much more because now it's fluctuating because these little poles that hold in the contacts to the brushes keep wanting to move out. The braid I'm using is much thinner than these were made for, so I have to make a little extra piece of brass to put on there so they fit much tighter. But once they do, this will run just perfect. So I'm really happy with that. And that's going to do it for this short, and I'm going to have to edit this down so it is short. I see there's little bits of rubber everywhere, but it's just the fuzzy stuff that I did. But I think we covered this. We did about the base. The base is completely set up now, and it's really nice and smooth, and the model's looking really great. And we will get back to this probably Friday after Thanksgiving, but I am going to be here tomorrow, and we'll do some more. So I hope you enjoyed today's short, and we'll see you tomorrow.